For as long as I can remember, my mom was everything to me, my protector, my cheerleader, the only constant in a world that often felt so uncertain. Growing up without a dad wasn't easy, but mom had this way of making me feel like we didn't need anyone else. "It's you and me against the world, sweetheart," she would say every night before bed, kissing my forehead like a silent promise. And I believed her. God, I believed every single word. Our house wasn't fancy. It was small and creaky, with a leaky faucet in the kitchen and a backyard that was mostly weeds. But to me, it was perfect because it was ours. Mom worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3, just to make ends meet. I remember nights when I'd wake up at midnight and find her sitting at the kitchen table, paperwork spread everywhere, a single lamp casting shadows on her tired face. She always smiled when she saw me, even when her eyes were red from exhaustion. "Go back to bed, baby," she'd whisper. "Mommy's just making sure the world doesn't beat us." I used to think she was a superhero. I even told my friends that once, back in 3rd grade. When other kids bragged about their dads taking them to baseball games or buying them new bikes, I proudly said, "My mom does everything. She's my hero." And she was, at least, that's what I thought. She shielded me from so much. Whenever bills piled up, she never let me see her panic. When kids teased me for wearing thrift store clothes, she taught me to hold my head high and say, "Real style isn't about price tags." When I cried because someone asked where my dad was, she'd pull me into her arms and say, "Sweetheart, some dads don't know how to love properly. But I do, and I'll love you enough for both of us." I never questioned her. Why would I? She was everything a mother should be: strong, kind, selfless. She never dated, never brought strange men around, never complained about what life took from her. It was always about me. Everything was for me. At least, that's what I believed with every piece of my heart. But here's the thing about hearts. They can shatter in an instant. It started with little things, details that didn't make sense until later. Like how mom never talked about her past. Ever. Whenever I asked about her childhood or my grandparents, she'd smile tightly and change the subject. "Not much to tell, sweetheart. It's just you and me that matters." I thought she was just private. Or maybe her past was painful, and I didn't want to hurt her by digging. Then there were the locked boxes. 2 of them. One in her bedroom closet and another in the attic. When I asked about them once, she laughed nervously and said, "Old memories, baby. Nothing you need to worry about." I trusted her. I didn't worry. Fast forward to the day that changed everything. Her funeral. Losing her was like having the ground ripped from beneath me. One moment she was here, smiling, telling me to eat breakfast before school, and the next, she was gone. "A car accident," they said. "Wrong place, wrong time." I didn't even get to say goodbye. The funeral was a blur of black clothes, murmured condolences, and flowers that smelled too sweet, like they were mocking me. People came, neighbors, co-workers I barely knew, even a few of her old friends I'd never met. They all said the same thing. "Your mom was amazing. She loved you so much." And I smiled through tears because yes, she was amazing. She was my world. But then he showed up. A man in his early 50s, with tired eyes and a weathered face. He stood at the back of the room, watching me like he knew me. When everyone else left, he walked over. I braced myself for another "sorry for your loss." But instead, he handed me an envelope. "This is for you," he said quietly. His voice shook like he was carrying a weight he'd held for years. I stared at him confused. Who are you?" His lips trembled before he spoke. "Someone who owes you the truth. And I'm sorry for everything." Then he left. Just like that. I looked down at the envelope in my hands. My name was written in neat, familiar handwriting, my mom's handwriting. My heart pounded so hard it felt like my chest would burst. Why would a stranger give me a letter from my mom? Why didn't she give it to me herself? My fingers shook as I opened it. And that's when I saw it, the first line that made my blood run cold. "If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. And you're finally old enough to know the truth about who I really am." I don't even know how long I stared at that first line. My hands were trembling so badly the paper nearly slipped from my grip. It felt like the entire room tilted, like gravity had shifted and I was falling into a black hole of words I wasn't ready to read. If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. And you're finally old enough to know the truth about who I really am. I wanted to stop right there. To crumple the letter, throw it in the trash, and keep the version of mom I knew. The woman who tucked me in at night, who cheered for me at every school play, who told me I was her whole world. But my curiosity was louder than my fear. So I kept reading. First, I need you to understand something. I love you. I have loved you since the moment I knew you existed, and nothing can change that. What I'm about to tell you doesn't erase the years we spent together or the sacrifices I made. Please believe that. But I can't let you live your whole life believing a lie. You deserve the truth, even if it hurts. My eyes blurred with tears, and I wiped them away with the back of my hand, whispering, "What lie, Mom? What are you talking about?" The next lines felt like bullets. "The man you know as your father. The one I told you left us when you were little. That wasn't the truth. He didn't walk away. I made him leave." I froze. My brain scrambled for an explanation, any explanation that made sense. Made him leave? Mom had always said he didn't love us. That he didn't want a family. That we were better off without him. And I believed her because, why wouldn't I? She was my mom. My rock, my everything. But now, everything was cracking. His name is Daniel. He loved you, sweetheart. More than you'll ever know. He wanted to be in your life. He begged me to let him. But I couldn't allow it because, if you knew him, you'd know the truth about me. And that truth could have destroyed us both. I pressed my fist to my mouth, choking back a sob. What truth? What could be so terrible that Mom would rather rip my dad out of my life than let me know? I read on, my heart pounding harder with every word. When I was 19, I made a mistake. A mistake that followed me every single day of my life. I did something out of fear and selfishness. And Daniel, your father, he never forgave me for it. He said if I didn't tell you the truth, he would. So I gave him no choice but to leave. I told him if he tried to see you, I'd ruin him. I hated myself for it, but I couldn't let you grow up knowing who I really was. I couldn't let you look at me with disgust. The words started swimming on the page because my tears were falling too fast. My throat burned like fire. I dropped the letter on my lap and just sat there, shaking, trying to breathe. Mom, my hero, had lied about everything. She didn't just lose my dad, she took him from me. She made him disappear. And all because of some secret so dark, she couldn't even tell me in person. I picked up the letter again, desperate and terrified, my eyes scanning for answers. I'm not ready to write the details here. If you want to know everything, there's a box in the attic, the one you've probably seen 100 times and wondered about. Inside is everything. Letters, photos, the whole story. You'll find the key tape under the drawer in my nightstand. If you choose to open that box, know this. Once you see what's inside, you can't go back. You might hate me. You might never forgive me. But at least you'll finally know the truth. That was the last line. No signature. Just her familiar handwriting curling off the page like a whisper from the grave. I sat there for what felt like hours, clutching that letter so tightly it wrinkled, my chest heaving with silent sobs. Hate her? How could I hate her? She was my mom. But how could I love her the same way after this? I thought about all the birthdays Dad missed. All the school plays where I stared into the crowd, wishing he was there. All the nights I cried because I thought he didn't care. And all along, he cared. He loved me. He wanted me. Mom just didn't let him. But why? What was this mistake she kept talking about? What was in that box that could ruin everything? I couldn't stop shaking. The funeral was over. The house was empty. And the silence felt heavy, like the walls were holding secrets too. I looked up the staircase, my eyes locking on the attic door. That box had been sitting there my whole life, and suddenly it felt like it was alive, like it was calling me. I knew where the key was. She told me. Under the drawer in her nightstand. It would take 2 minutes to get it. 2 minutes to open a door that would never close again. But part of me wanted to burn the letter and pretend I never read it. Pretend mom was still my hero. Pretend we were still the perfect little team she always said we were. Except, that wasn't the truth anymore. And now, I needed the truth more than anything. With tears streaking my face, I stood up on trembling legs and walked toward the stairs. Toward the attic. Toward the box that was about to shatter whatever was left of my world. The house was quiet, too quiet. Every creak of the old floorboard sounded like a warning, like the house itself was whispering, "Don't do this." But my feet moved anyway, pulling me toward the attic door like some invisible force had its hands around my shoulders. The staircase loomed ahead, and for the first time in years, I noticed how narrow it was, how each step groaned under the weight of my trembling body. My fingers grazed the wooden banister, gripping so tight my knuckles turned white. Halfway up, I stopped. My heart was pounding so violently it felt like it might burst out of my chest. A voice in my head kept screaming, "Turn around. Leave it alone. You can't unsee this." But then another voice, the louder one, whispered, "You've already lost everything. What's left to lose?" So I kept climbing. The attic door stuck, as it always did, and I had to yank it hard before it creaked open, releasing a gust of stale air that smelled like dust and forgotten years. The single bulb dangling from the ceiling flickered weakly when I pulled the chain, casting eerie shadows across the room. And there it was. The box. Black. Medium-sized. Sitting in the corner like it had been waiting for me all along. I walked toward it slowly, my breath shallow, my heart a war drum in my ears. I knelt down, brushing a thick layer of dust from the lid, and saw the brass lock gleaming faintly under the dim light. My shaking fingers reached into my pocket for the small silver key I'd found taped under Mom's nightstand drawer. I held the key over the lock and hesitated. My whole body felt like it was made of stone, heavy with dread. What if opening this box made me hate her forever? What if the woman I loved wasn't even real? But then I remembered the letter, the words that had ripped open the foundation of my entire life, and anger boiled up inside me. She owed me the truth. Click. The lock opened with a soft snap. My breath caught in my throat as I slowly lifted the lid. Inside were bundles of letters tied with faded ribbons, old photographs with curled edges, and a thick manila envelope. My hands shook as I reached for the top photo, my heart thudding harder with every second. The first picture was of Mom, so young, maybe 19, her smile bright and carefree. Her arm was wrapped around a man I'd never seen before. He was handsome, tall, with warm brown eyes that felt oddly familiar. He had his arm around her like she was his whole world. On the back of the photo, written in Mom's handwriting, were 3 words that made my stomach twist. Me and Daniel. Daniel. My father. He was nothing like I'd imagined. And the way he looked at her in that photo, it wasn't casual. It was love. Deep, undeniable love. I flipped through more pictures. There were so many. Mom and Daniel at the beach. At a fair. Holding hands in front of a tiny apartment. Smiling like the future was theirs. So what happened? I pushed the photos aside and grabbed the letters. Most were from him, Daniel. "Please, Sarah, stop shutting me out. I love you. I love her. Let me see my daughter. You can't hide her from me forever. She deserves to know who I am. If you don't tell her the truth, I will." Each letter was angrier than the last, the words bleeding desperation and heartbreak. My chest felt like it was caving in. My mom had lied. She told me Dad didn't care, that he left, that he didn't want us. But these letters told a different story. He wanted me. He fought for me. And she kept him away. Tears blurred my vision as I reached for the manila envelope, my hands trembling so violently I nearly tore it open. Inside were legal papers, custody documents, signed and dated. My mom had filed for full custody when I was 2. She claimed Daniel was unfit, accusing him of abuse, addiction, everything under the sun. But tucked behind the papers was a small notebook, Mom's handwriting filling every page. I opened it, and the first entry made my heart stop cold. I did it. I can't undo it now. I told him I was pregnant, and everything changed. He wanted to marry me. He wanted the perfect life. But I couldn't let that happen, not after what I did to Emily. Emily? Who was Emily? I kept reading, my eyes racing over the words, my hands clammy, my stomach churning. She trusted me. She was my best friend. And I took everything from her, her boyfriend, her future. I told myself it wasn't my fault, that he loved me more. But when she found out, when she threatened to tell everyone what I did, I panicked. And now she's gone. God, what have I done? I dropped the notebook like it burned me. My entire body shook as a scream clawed its way up my throat but never escaped. Mom, my perfect, selfless mom, had stolen her best friend's boyfriend. My father. And when Emily found out, something happened. Something bad enough to make Mom write those words. And now she's gone. Gone how? Dead? Did Mom? Did she kill her? I couldn't breathe. My chest tightened like a vice, and black spots danced in my vision. The room felt smaller, the air heavier, suffocating me with secrets. I scrambled to my feet, nearly tripping over the box as I backed toward the attic door. My hands clawed at my hair, my voice breaking into a whisper. No. No, this isn't real. It's not real. But it was real. It was all real. And my mom, the woman I worshipped, wasn't who I thought she was. She wasn't just a liar. She was something far worse. I stumbled down the attic stairs like the floor was collapsing beneath me. My legs felt weak. My breaths came in ragged gasps. And my mind, God, my mind was a storm I couldn't control. Every image, every word from that notebook burned into my brain like fire. She trusted me. She was my best friend. And I took everything from her. And now she's gone. Gone. Emily was gone. And Mom wrote it like a confession. The truth was too big to process all at once. But one thing was clear. My entire life had been built on lies. Mom wasn't just hiding mistakes. She was hiding something dark, something that explained why she ripped my father out of my life. I couldn't stay in that house another second. The walls felt like they were closing in, suffocating me with secrets. Grabbing the letters and photos, I shoved them into my backpack, along with the notebook. My hands moved fast, desperate. If I left them here, maybe I'd never have the courage to come back. I locked the door behind me, though I had no idea why. Habit, maybe. Then I ran, out the door, down the street, into the cold night air that slapped my face like a cruel reminder that this wasn't some nightmare I could wake up from. I didn't stop running until I reached the park a few blocks away, collapsing onto an empty bench. The world felt so loud, cars rushing by, wind hissing through the trees. But inside, I was nothing but silence and static. And then his face came back to me. The man from the funeral. The stranger who wasn't a stranger at all. Daniel. He'd handed me the letter. He'd said he owed me the truth, which meant he knew. He knew everything Mom didn't tell me. And suddenly, finding him wasn't just something I wanted, it was something I needed. I pulled out my phone with trembling hands and stared at the letters in my lap. His name, his old address, even a phone number was scribbled on some of them. My chest tightened as I dialed the number, praying it hadn't changed in all these years. 1 ring. 2. 3. My stomach knotted so hard I thought I'd throw up. And then, hello? His voice was deep, tired, older than the man in the photos, but I knew it was him. I froze. My throat closed up, my voice refusing to work. Hello? He said again, cautious this time. Finally, words scraped their way out of me. Daniel? A sharp inhale on the other end. Then, who is this? I swallowed hard, my pulse roaring in my ears. It's me. My voice cracked. I'm your daughter. Silence. Long, heavy silence, like the whole world held its breath with me. Then I heard it, a soft, broken sound like someone choking on a sob. Oh my God, Sarah? Hearing my mom's name in his voice was like another knife in my chest. No, I whispered. It's me. Her daughter. I know, he said quickly, his voice trembling. I can't believe this. After all these years. His words trailed off, and for a second, Neither of us spoke. I didn't even know what to say. 1,000 questions clawed at my throat, but only one made it out. Why did you leave? He let out a bitter laugh that wasn't really a laugh at all. I didn't leave. She made sure of that. I know, I whispered, tears stinging my eyes. I read the letters. I know you fought for me. Fought? His voice cracked. Sweetheart, I would have burned the world down to be in your life. But your mom, she made sure that would never happen. Why? I demanded, my voice shaking with anger now. Why would she do that? What did she mean when she wrote about Emily? Silence again. He didn't answer right away, and the pause felt like a weight pressing down on me. Finally, he spoke, his voice hollow. Where are you right now? In town, I said. Meet me, he said quickly. I'll tell you everything. But not over the phone. This isn't something you talk about on a call. My heart thudded painfully in my chest. Where? Do you remember Pinewood Diner? Off Route 6? I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Everyone knew Pinewood. It was the only 24-hour diner for miles. Half an hour, he said. Please, just come. The drive felt endless. My fingers gripped the steering wheel so tight they hurt, my stomach twisting with dread and something else, fear of the unknown. Because deep down, I knew whatever Daniel was about to tell me wouldn't just confirm Mom's secret. It would destroy whatever illusion I had left about her. When I pulled into the diner parking lot, my headlights swept across a lone figure standing by a rusted pickup truck. He turned as I parked, and even though decades had passed since the photos in that box, I recognized him instantly. Daniel. His hair was grayer now, his face lined with years of heartbreak, but his eyes, those warm brown eyes that looked like mine, froze me in place. I stepped out of the car slowly, my legs heavy, my breath shallow. He looked at me like he was memorizing every detail, like he couldn't believe I was real. And then, before I could say a word, he whispered, "You look just like her." My stomach twisted at the mention of Mom, but I didn't let him linger there. Tell me, I said, my voice sharp despite the tears burning in my eyes. Tell me what she did. Tell me about Emily. His face crumpled, his shoulders sagging under a weight I couldn't see. For a moment, he just stood there, silent, like he was gathering the courage to rip open wounds that never healed. And then he said the words that shattered whatever was left of my world. Your mom didn't just take me from Emily. She took Emily's life. The ground tilted beneath me. My ears rang, my vision blurred, and my voice came out as a hoarse whisper. What? What do you mean? He looked at me with eyes full of pain and something else, guilt. It was an accident, he said quickly, his voice trembling. At least. That's what she claimed. But that night changed everything. And it's why she kept me from you. Because if you knew the truth about your mother, you'd never look at her the same way again. The words hung in the cold night air like a death sentence. She took Emily's life. I stared at him, my breath catching in my throat, my heart pounding so loud it drowned out everything else. The distant hum of cars, the buzzing diner sign, even the voice in my head that kept screaming, "No, no, this can't be real." What? What do you mean? I finally managed to whisper, my voice trembling like a fragile glass about to shatter. Daniel ran a hand through his graying hair and turned away, his shoulders slumping as if the weight of the past had finally crushed him. It was supposed to be a party. Just a stupid college party. We were all there, me, your mom, Emily. His voice cracked on her name. Emily was my girlfriend then. Everyone knew that. Except your mom. She wanted more than friendship. She wanted me. The words sliced through me like jagged glass. I thought of the journal entry. She trusted me. She was my best friend. And I took everything from her. It wasn't just guilt. It was the truth. She flirted that night, Daniel continued, his voice hollow, like every word cost him something. Emily confronted her. They fought. I tried to break it up, but your mom wouldn't let it go. Emily was crying. She wanted to leave. But your mom grabbed her, dragged her toward the car, said they were going to talk it out. He swallowed hard, his eyes glistening. I never saw Emily alive again. My blood turned to ice. My lips parted, but no sound came out. My whole body shook, my hands curling into fists just to keep from collapsing. She told me later it was an accident, Daniel said, his voice dropping to a whisper. She said Emily ran into the road, that the car came out of nowhere. But she was driving, and Emily died that night. A sob tore from my throat before I could stop it. I pressed my hands to my face, as if I could block out the words, block out the image of Mom behind a wheel, Emily screaming, headlights flashing. I wanted to go to the police, Daniel said, his voice raw. God, I wanted to. But your mom. She was terrified. Begged me not to ruin her life. She said she was pregnant with you. Said if I loved her, I'd keep quiet. And I did. I stayed. I tried to make it work. But every time I looked at her, all I saw was Emily. And then I found out the truth. I lowered my hands slowly, tears streaking my cheeks, my voice hoarse. The truth? His jaw clenched. She wasn't pregnant when she told me. She lied. She trapped me. She knew I wouldn't go to the police if I thought you were coming. And by the time I realized, it was too late. I loved you. You were real, and I wanted to be your dad. But your mom. His voice broke. She hated me for not choosing her. She took you and disappeared. Changed her name. Got a restraining order. Told the courts I was violent, unstable. I fought, but his voice trailed off, defeated. I stared at him, every word sinking into me like poison, unraveling every memory I'd ever held close. Mom, smiling as she braided my hair. Mom, telling me we didn't need anyone else. Mom, whispering, it's you and me against the world. Against the world, or against the truth? My stomach churned, bile rising in my throat. She killed her, I whispered. She killed her best friend. She said it was an accident, Daniel said quickly, almost pleading. I don't know if it was. But I do know this. Your mom loved you. Twisted as it all was, you were everything to her. She built her entire life around you. I shook my head, hot tears spilling down my face. She lied to me. My whole life was a lie. Daniel stepped closer, his eyes desperate. Listen to me. I can't change what she did. But I'm still your father. And if you'll let me, I'll be here. No more secrets. No more lies. I stared at him, my heart tearing in two. One part of me wanted to run far away and forget all of this. The other part wanted to collapse into his arms and finally feel what it's like to have a dad who fought for me all along. But then I saw her face in my mind, Mom, laughing, crying, loving me in the only way she knew how. A murderer. A liar. And yet, still my mother. The grief hit me so hard it stole my breath. I sank to the pavement, sobbing into my hands as Daniel knelt beside me, his arms hovering like he wasn't sure if I'd let him in. And in that moment, I realized something no one ever tells you about the truth. It doesn't set you free. It chains you to a past you can never escape. Hours later, I drove home in silence, the box of secrets heavy on the seat beside me. The house was dark, hollow without her laughter. I climbed the stairs slowly, her words echoing in my mind. You might hate me. You might never forgive me. But at least you'll finally know the truth. She was right. I did know the truth. And it destroyed me. I stopped at her bedroom door, staring at the nightstand where the key had been taped, like she wanted me to find it all along. Did she want me to hate her? Or did she hope, somehow, that love would survive the truth? I don't know. I don't think I'll ever know. I sat on her bed, clutching her pillow, breathing in the faint scent of her perfume, and whispered the words I couldn't stop myself from saying. I hate you. I love you. I hate you. Over and over, until the sun came up. Because both were true. And now, they always will be.